Back in the 90s, Audi released the A3 and in so doing invented a whole new class of car called the Premium Compact. It turned out to be so successful that BMW retaliated with the 1 Series. Then a few years later, BMW scored a coup when they released the new Mini and thereby created another whole new class of car called the Premium Subcompact. And now Audi have retaliated with this, the A1.
Yes, this is Audi's rather more sedate response to the Mini, a car that's all about being fun and as unconventional as possible. The A1 is also taking on the Fiat 500 and the Citroën DS3, even though those cars aren't quite up there in terms of sales numbers in South Africa. We travelled to a cold, wet and sometimes snowy Germany to find out more about this so-called next big Audi.
I first saw the A1 at the Leipzig Motor Show at the beginning of 2010, and to be honest, I wasn't that impressed. But now I've had a chance to have a good look at it, and to be honest, I'm not that impressed. The front end is good enough, but the back end is all a bit droopy.
I don't know what it is about the rear of this car that doesn't appeal to me, but it just doesn't. Audi's engineers will tell you that the A1's shoulder line runs the length of the car and meets up neatly with the line on the rear deck, and there's apparently some aesthetic benefit to that, but my simple brain just doesn't get it. That's the only thing that detracts from what is otherwise a car that looks more stylish and dynamic than its competition. There seems to be a compulsory component to cars in this segment, customization. Both the Mini and the Fiat 500 have options lists as long as you like, and the A1 is the same. You can select various colors and materials for both the styling and the interior.
The bad news about the interior is that this particular one is pretty somber with its black on black finishes, but the A1 will be very customizable right down to the color of the plastic coverings on the air vents. And of course Audi make the best interiors in the business, so as far as fit and materials go, you just can't fault it.
There are some familiar bits of plastic in here, but there's also a lot of new stuff, designed to make life behind the wheel even more enjoyable. Audi have concentrated quite a bit on the tech you get in here, and now you have a multifunction steering wheel that controls more functions. They've included keyless operation, and the MMI system, already the best system of its kind, has an improved look and functionality. As happy as the A1 was on these wet country roads, its target market is that of trendy city-dwelling folk who like their luxury and their style and their technology that makes life easier. Audi are so focused on that group, they've made up a whole new category for them.
It seems that every time manufacturers bring out a new car, they give it its own category, which is how we've ended up with SUVs and SAVs and MPVs and people who don't really know the difference between the lot. Now, with the A1, Audi have created the MCV, the mega city vehicle. Ridiculous, I know.
Name calling aside, the A1 offers an interesting alternative to its stated market rivals. Shadowing us in the German countryside was Audi's product marketing manager, Rudi Fenter. We asked him for a bit more detail about this new car, starting with the Mini rivalry.
It's important to understand that although this car is aimed primarily at the Mini, is that for the first time it allows Audi to compete in the A0 premium segment. So the idea with this car is to conquest new customers. We're really looking for new people and new customers to get exposed to the Audi brand.
And those people will want to know they're getting exactly what they want for their hard-earned cash, right down to the mix of colors and materials.
Obviously, apart from the normal things like wheels and different colors, you can really personalize the interior in terms of different color combinations, different upholsteries. In terms of the infotainment system, there are various different levels that you can choose, from the top-line navigation system to the more sort of lower-down system that allows you Bluetooth connectivity and MP3 compatibility. You have the contrasting roof arch, and of course things like S-Line exterior package and a new package that we call the competition kit, which is a little bit more sporty than on the standard car.
It's not all about style though. These days, manufacturers have to be seen towing the environmental line, and the good old government has cottoned on to the idea that there's money to be made from CO2. The A1 neatly dodges the greenhouse gas tax.
The entire A1 range falls below the 120 gram CO2 level that the government has indicated in terms of taxation, with the exception of 2 models.
Our test car is one of those that doesn't pay a penalty, a 1.4 TFSI with 90 kilowatts and 200 Newton meters and a CO2 count of 119 grams per kilometer.
If you look at the cars that the A1 is up against, like the Mini and the Citroen DS3 and the Fiat 500, those cars are all a little off the wall. Some of them are a bit gimmicky. But this car is a lot more grown up. It's a bit more serious.
That doesn't mean it's no fun. It just doesn't rely on gimmicks or over-the-top styling. It's a great car that delivers its drive in a normal car kind of way. Some of it is familiar, like a manual gearbox with a solid shift action and handling that's very good, even when conditions aren't. Some of it is surprising, like the small turbo engine. And some of it is stuff that will become standard features in cars of the future, like the fuel-saving and emissions-cutting start-stop technology. Our test car was a 6-speed manual, but there will be an S-tronic option. Other engine options will include a 1.2 turbo petrol and a 1.6 turbo diesel.
My first driving impression of the A1 was that it wasn't exactly the life of the party. But then we found ourselves on some German B roads, and I kind of got to figure out what this car is about. It just wants to deliver the best drive possible. The 1400 turbo motor's got just the right amount of poke when you need it, and the ride setup is a great balance between firm and comfortable. The A1 is for people who want a car that does more for their sense of enjoyment behind the wheel than it does for their image.
Not that driving a stylish A1 will ruin your image, of course.
There was a very long and protracted build-up to the release of the A1, but now that it's finally here, it doesn't disappoint. It hasn't just copied the recipe that its competition has used. It is very much its own car, and it will be a very strong contender.
Audi's most compact car since the eclectic A2 has just the right mix of performance, chassis dynamics, style and comfort to please fastidious buyers. An involving driving experience is matched to Audi's usual premium appointments, but it's not the prettiest viewed from the rear, and pricing will be a key issue when it debuts in March next year.